Youth Speak is a program on Universal Heritage Television Niger, where all matters concerning the youths are discussed and analyzed by the youths, especially in a society where they feel abandoned and not fairly represented, yet so much is expected from them. Join us every Friday as we present to you Youth Speak on our YouTube channel at Universal Heritage Television Niger. Youth Speak, a voice for the youth. Hello and welcome to another edition of Youth Speak on Universal Heritage Television Niger. I am your host Iwuna Munachi, and today we brought to you another beautiful edition, a topic we would like to call Sex for Grades in Nigerian Universities. I have two beautiful people here with me to do justice to this topic. I have Susan Orore. Susan Orore is a core member serving in Owerri, the capital of Imo State. And I have Nadi Victory. Nadi Victory, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Okay, sex for grades in universities is a global issue. However, in this situation, we'll be talking from the context of Nigerian universities. Sex for grades simply refers to getting academic grades in exchange for sexual favors. Gone are the days when students were studious, when they burnt the midnight candle, when the reading culture was on fleek. Nowadays, many students are too lazy to study. Some will shamelessly say it is only earned in cash or kind. Whenever this issue is raised, sex for grades, the attention, the people are always think it's all about male lecturers and female students. So I want to ask you, Susan, do you think this are there cases where female lecturers ask the male students for sex?
Yes, definitely. I've heard of a story. The person involved told me. He said a female lecturer asked him for sex in order to pass him in a particular course.
So there are existing cases like that?
Yes.
Wow, I have not really heard about such things. I actually consider it absurd because I feel like the women are more, like women can control themselves more than the male lecturers. I don't want to really dwell so much on this, but if there are cases, have you ever heard of such a case before, Nat Victory?
Definitely, in as much as it has to do with two opposite gender, it is applicable. It is very much possible that a female lecturer can ask a male student for sex.
Wow, interesting. Okay, what are the factors that influence this menace? What are the reasons for this situation in Nigerian universities? Victory.
Okay, thank you very much. We will not totally rule off the fact that the issue is both way. Both the students and the lecturers.
Exactly.
Both of them have a big role, or they have played big role in respect to this. Now, when you look at the fact that starting from the lecturers, most of them has given up on the dignity of the profession. It is very important that as a lecturer that you uphold the dignity of your work and ensure that you discharge the duties. It is well said that it is better for an engineer to make a mistake in constructing or building a house than a lecturer or a teacher to make a mistake in teaching. And when you see that most persons that are being employed as lecturers are incapacitated, sorry to say that, while most of them are half-baked. I remember somebody saying that Nigeria produces educated illiterates. And to that effect, that simply means our lecturers are, in quotes, educated illiterate lecturers.
As funny as it is, it's very pathetic.
That is the problem of the country, and that's where we find ourselves. So you get to understand that when the lecturers are not keeping up to what they are meant to do, it boils down to the students. I remember while I was in school, there was this lecturer that he has never entered the class more than 3 times.
Wow.
And in that situation, you get to understand that as a student, you have to do whatever you need to do to pass.
That's true.
So on that note, you will not blame the student for doing whatever he's doing or whatever she's doing to pass. So,
what are the factors that you feel influences this situation?
Well, I'm going to list out 4 factors.
Okay.
One of them is the inability for students to study. One, there's laziness on the students' part. Gone are those days when you see students attending lectures regularly, reading, in fact, burning the midnight candle. Students are now, especially for the girls, they are now concerned about the latest hair, the latest fashion, their mobile phones, and the rest. And then secondly, moral decadence in our society. Now, you know, sex is no longer exclusive to the married. It is now a cheap commodity. And so for a sexually active student, it won't have a problem succumbing to a lecturer who is asking for sex.
Yeah.
In fact, she will be glad. And then we look at most lecturers who act as demigods. They get away with whatever they do.
I don't want to go down that lane.
Anything they do, they get away. In fact, nobody confronts them, nobody questions them, there is no query. They do what they like. And then we look at the issues of lack of support for these victims. No support. In fact, most of them like to hide in their shells because they are threatened by these perpetrators of sex for grades. When you speak up, I will do this to you. When you say this, I'll do this to you. And then they want to hide themselves. And even the ones who are bold enough to speak up, they are stigmatized by these perpetrators.
Based on what you said, that some of these lecturers see themselves as demigods. Like Nadi Victory said, is a two-way thing. But I want to say, I know that there are existing laws, you know, that oversee this issue, sex for grades in Nigerian universities. But in spite of those laws, I still feel like these things are still existing. Is it that these laws are not strong enough to curtail these issues? Is it that these laws are not really strong enough to eradicate this menace in our system of education? Victor, let me start with you.
Okay, before you talk about laws, laws are made by man.
Of course.
And it is still man that can bend laws. Okay, something happened when I was in one of my lecturer's office some time ago. A lady walked in, took excuse to have a one-on-one chat with the lecturer. And the end product of the discussion was that she wants to eat. That can the lecturer give her 2,000 naira that she will pay back in any means.
Oh.
That was the statement from the students. Now, in a situation like that, you get to understand that most students are the ones approaching the lecturers for this. So when we talk about laws, you get to understand that the laws will not come to play here.
Well, what makes you say so?
Definitely, because if there are laws that will guide the both of us, and I am seeing myself that, okay, meanwhile the laws is meant to protect me against you, and the law that is meant to protect me, I am now working against the law.
Okay.
You get to understand that the lecturer will see it as a leverage to do whatever he or she wants to do, because the law is no longer protecting me. In fact, I am outside the law.
You've shifted from the law.
Yes. So when someone is still under the ambit of the law, it gives he or she the authority to do whatever or to work in accordance to the law. But when a student works or takes himself outside the ambit of the law, you see that it is very much easy for whatever that will happen to happen.
Okay, since you mentioned earlier on that some students that have been sexually harassed, maybe when they want to speak up, they either get stigmatized, and even those that don't have the courage to speak up end up dying in silence. For students who have been sexually harassed, even when some students will say that the reason why they go to meet these lecturers is because they don't have the energy to study, or maybe they are too busy with one business or the other, which is not even a genuine excuse, but they say they go to these lecturers to satisfy their inability to study. Now, some of the students say that even when they study so hard and they are sure that they can pass the exams, these lecturers intentionally make them fail, just to either sexually harass them or get an opportunity to sleep with them. For this kind of students, what do you think they can do?
Well, to me, for a student who is having this problem, I think you should speak up.
Okay.
You can tell your friends, tell your parents, tell your
In
siblings.
spite of the stigmatization?
Yes, tell anyone who can help you in such a situation. And in telling people, I think there should be an evidence. You can keep a record evidence. Yes, a record of whatever is conspiring between you and this lecturer.
Okay.
Keep an evidence. You know, people, especially in Nigeria, they won't believe you until they see that such thing is happening. And for a student who cannot speak up, if these cases go to the extreme, they will end up committing suicide.
That's true.
So for these students, it is advisable. You can't just run away from it. Yes, I think one of the things you should do is to be able to stand your ground. No, I am not interested. Say it boldly, politely, but be very firm. And then, you know, some students will say no, while your body language is saying otherwise.
The flesh is weak, but the spirit is willing.
You should be able to say no with your words. In fact, with everything about you, your actions should also say no. And don't just say no and stand. Make a move. Yeah, I believe for a student, you are going into the lecturer's room, office, you will be close to the door. Make an attempt of running away. Don't just stand. I'm also going to talk about lecturers because students are not just victims of this ordeal. For a lecturer, you have the right to walk a student out of your office. You cannot just, if it gets to the point of, because students seduce lecturers, if it gets to a point that you can't control, walk out. Yes, it is your office, but you can walk out on these crazy students. And then, for these students, you know, you can't just, there are things, they say there are things better not said. But for such a case, sex, you should speak up. Speak up, tell your friends, tell whoever you believe can help you. You can even look for a lecturer who you know, we are students, yes, there is a cordial relationship between you and a particular lecturer. Tell that lecturer and make a record of whatever you are going to, is happening between you and this lecturer. And then tell people, don't just keep quiet.
Okay.
But sorry, when you keep lamenting on speak up, you get to understand that most of our lecturers have clique. In fact, when you go any school you get to, you see that the whole lecturers, they form something like clique.
An association.
Yes.
Where if you affect me, definitely you have affected the other lecturer.
Okay.
Then the question now, or the big issue now, is who are you speaking to?
Because
a colleague of mine cannot be affected and you come to report me over that lecturer. You get to understand that when you report me, that means you're otherwise hurting yourself. That's now where you see that most of these laws are already punctured. Because yes, the VC, the rector or the provost will say that if a lecturer tries to take advantage, speak up, come to my office. But then you get to understand that it is difficult for a student to go to the VC's office.
okay. But
Now you see that,
okay, yeah.
now you see that the issue of speaking up becomes a problem. Because when you speak, just like the Nigerian police, you report a case, first of all, you become the first suspect.
Oh, yes, that's true.
So that's the problem in speaking up. Who will you speak to?
Now, that is corruption in the tertiary institution. But, you know, they say Jesus had 12 disciples.
Yes.
And out of these 12, there was a betrayer. So I believe out of this clique, out of these people who have formed a clique of, if you see this lecturer, you know they are friends, you know what they are capable of doing. Yes. If this lecturer sleeps with students to give them grades, and he has a clique, check very well. In that clique, almost all of them do the same thing.
Exactly.
You must not necessarily speak to a lecturer in that same department, in that same faculty. You can look for a lecturer outside your faculty. A lecturer, like my school where I graduated from, the VC, when I just got into school, they were giving us orientation. He told us, he said there was this girl who was being sexually harassed by a lecturer for grades, and the girl reported. Well, at first, this issue wasn't taken seriously. But with time, it got to his notice. So they had an agreement. See what you will do. Now you are going to agree to him. He will give you probably an address of a hotel. Agree, follow him. And then the girl went. They informed a lot of people. Immediately, the man removed his clothes. In fact, he was completely naked. She made a contact, and everybody involved came in, and they caught the man. So it was not necessarily because Nigeria as a whole is corrupt. In fact, we Nigerians are corrupt. That is why you see a female student going to shamelessly seduce a lecturer for sex because they want a good grade. I want to graduate with the flying colors without even opening my books, without attending lectures. And those ones who are innocent, in fact, they are stigmatized. They have a lot of consequences they face. Most of them have to face these lecturers when they are lecturing them, and they must attend lecture. You know, the university is not just a place to teach or lecture, but it is a place where we are built morally, emotionally, and this sex for grade is gradually erasing this purpose. And for most students who are sexually harassed for grades, they don't see it worthwhile attending such classes. Exactly. In fact, most of them are now, I don't know, I would say baptized into this system. So they don't want to read.
Based on this thing you want to say, I don't know whether you are you have those spiritual eyes that you're kind of censoring my questions, because before I get to the next questions, you've already thrown some lights on it. I want to ask, he said some students no longer find it important to study already because they know what to do to get the same grades. What can be done to build up the reading culture? I have to be sincere with you, it's lost. In our tertiary education, it is lost. Students no longer want to read. They are no longer studious. What can be done to build up this culture again in our educational system? Victory, can you help me answer this?
Okay, when we talk about what could be done in order to restore the dignity of the profession and then ensure that the students take their studies serious. First of all, it boils down to the lecturers.
Okay.
Yes. I don't want to take sides, but then when you see that the lecturers are not doing their work well, first of all, if the lecturers discharge their duties well, now this lecturer in school, if his lecture is 7 o'clock and you come 7:05, definitely you start aside.
I used to have one of those lecturers, those very strict woman.
Fine. Why there is a lecture that even if you come 5 minutes to 8, 5 minutes to the end of the lecture, you walk in freely and then walk out freely. Just understand that the level of respect that the students will place on these two lecturers, when you just oppose them, so that it will be clearly different.
That's true.
That simply means the lecturers need to first take it upon themselves to ensure that the students deliver.
That's true.
When the lecturers are serious with their studies, it will enable the students know that I don't have any other option than to do this. I have a lecturer that no matter what you do, if you don't write his exam well, you will not pass. And the fact is, if at any point you tend to write exactly what he gave you in the class or what is in the textbook, you fail.
Garbage in, garbage out. He
will expect you to write from your own knowledge. And as for since I'm writing from my own knowledge and she's writing hers, we cannot write the same thing.
That's true.
At no point should we have the same sentence. Now, when lecturers pick up that kind of attitude, you see that the attitude will otherwise reflect
on the lives of
the students. So I believe the only thing to do and the best thing to do is to make sure that the lecturers are up and doing. Let them take the profession very serious.
Do you have something different?
Yes, I'm going outside the box.
Okay.
Now it starts with parents choosing what their children should study.
Okay, yes.
It's really affecting students. they end up not taking that course seriously because this is what my mother wants. This is what my father wants. Any grade I come out with, she'll take it.
She's not passionate about it.
Parents should have a cordial relationship with their children. And then if your child is going to take a course to study in the university, that to you, the parents, you think this is not a marketable course, you should be able to advise that child, not forcing them to do what you want. And then secondly, I want to talk about discipline.
Before we talk about that second one, what do you study in school?
Biochemistry.
Biochemistry?
Yes.
Are you okay with what you studied?
I'm fine.
And who advised you to do that?
Well, I think I advised myself and I prayed.
It could be her passion, it could be something she was passionate about. Funny thing is that I studied health education in school because I felt like I was inclined towards health education. But everybody in school, my mother, my friends, everybody thought I was going to study mass communication. They were like, Mona, this is what you're supposed to be doing. At the end of the day, what am I doing? Mass communication. So I don't know.
You enjoyed health.
Yes, I enjoyed it.
And then you went for it. But then, what will you not tell someone that did biochem? What was she enjoying before going to that course? That simply means one way or the other is either the parents force the student or the school force the student to study that. Now you get to understand that most of these things are not basically whether your parents force you to do a course or not. Your dad can force you to do this course, and then the school will change it for you. You get into the department, and then the lecturers will now give you a different orientation altogether.
So it's not
okay, that's
what you're saying.
It's not the fault of the parents.
It could be.
Now that is where studying hard comes in. You are in the secondary school. You are preparing for JAMB. I'm going to take nursing. I know this is the subject I'm to take for my JAMB, and I don't get up to the expected cut-off mark for nursing. Definitely, the school is going to give me something else.
Similar to nursing.
Yes. But if you are reluctant, that is what I want, that is what, and they ask you some questions in biology, you can't even answer, then it is your problem. I think with what he said, parents should be prayerful, one, and then you should have this cordial relationship. There should be an intimate mother and child relationship. You know, some children prefer to talk to their friends.
Is it mother and child or parents and child?
Parents and child.
I wanted to say,
you know what?
I had a closer relationship with my dad.
Whatever happens, they blame the mother. So maybe that's why mother and child is coming into my head. Now, there should be a cordial relationship between the parents and the child. You should be able to talk to your child. There's this student that came to me, secondary school student. She was telling me that before she gets home, do whatever she has to do. And in fact, when she looks at the time, it will be around 11 p.m., 12 a.m. So there's no time to read. Now, I believe her parents are seeing her. I believe her parents are giving her work to do. That is when labor comes in. As
Division
parents, yes, we should know what to give to, the task to give to this child, so that they will be able to read. In fact, some parents leave their children to TV and to their phones rather than engaging them in some other things and giving them a timetable to work with, so that they will have time to read.
So, sister, you're saying that building this reading culture shouldn't just start while they are in the tertiary institution, but from when they were
from small, yes. It's something that you've inculcated from childhood. It will be very difficult for the child to just displace or dispose of like that.
That's true.
But I'm an adult. I'm trying to learn something new. It is difficult.
That's what they say. So how do they even say it? Yes.
Now I don't know how to read. I didn't learn it. I'm going into the tertiary institution. How do I begin? Except I find myself in the middle of people who are readaholics, bookworms, then I might be able to start coping. That's why I'm bringing this other issue of discipline. For a student, you should be able to discipline yourself. This is what I want. This is what I want for myself. I used to tell my younger ones, I have many elder ones, but none of them calls me and sits me down and says, Susan, what do you want to do for yourself? Okay, this is how you are going to do it. I call myself, I sit myself down and say, Susan, this is what you want to become. And in order to achieve it, this is what you have to do. That is discipline. For a student who is not disciplined, if the wind blows him or out to decide, if the wind blows him out, and so when these lecturers come, in fact, they become confused. Some of them go to meet their friends who are not good advisors. Is it not? If you sleep with him, it's just to sleep with him, and it is once. Forgetting that once might become twice. From twice,
becomes a habit.
It becomes a habit. In fact, they will now look at you as a second wife. And so, for students to I don't know, it will be very difficult. But as students, you should learn to discipline yourself. Discipline yourself and be firm. Be firm also. That when this breeze is blowing you, tossing you about, you should be able to say, no, I am going to read. This brain gives us what we give to it. It delivers what we give to it. So when you don't give it the food it needs, I believe the 3 exercises you can give to your brain is reading, meditating, and thinking. And so you don't read.
You don't meditate.
You don't meditate. The only thought that even comes to your head is, hey, I need to buy that new hair. That new hair of 200.
Why are you so concentrating on the ladies? Why can't you talk about the men who think about getting the latest smartphone, getting the latest car?
Because I'm talking about the ladies now. Because ladies are mostly vulnerable. Yes, okay. Girls are more vulnerable.
That is nice.
A guy can be firm. I don't want. And that's it. I don't want. There's no, as a woman, I don't know how God created women, but there's this soft heart he gave to us. If a male student shouts at a female lecturer, you see them, they will calm down. But as a female student, do you want to shout at a
male lecturer? And even when you do it, you come off as being too bold, and that will even make them want you more.
So that's why I'm dwelling more on the female students.
Okay.
So we should be firm. We should be able to discipline ourselves. This is the time to read. This is the time to study. I must attend lecture. Yes, like you said, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Victor keeps shaking his head like he has something so contrary to what you're saying. He really wants to hear his opinion. Okay, Victor, let me hear from you.
It's not like I want to hear my friend. What she's saying is a bit funny.
Okay.
Because when you talk about a male student being firm, where the male student can shout at the female lecturer and the female student cannot do so, that simply means if you are being placed in that same scenario, you will not be able to shout. And by virtue of not being able to shout, there is 30 to 40% possibility that you might fall victim to it. Okay. That is why I have not dwelt on the students.
Okay, now, your possibility of falling a prey to these randy lecturers is if you don't believe in yourself. For me, I believe in myself because I study. If I don't study, if I don't believe in myself, a lecturer will come, I will fall prey.
That's because you don't
because I don't have an option. A student who doesn't attend lectures regularly, they don't read. In fact, some even read when the exam is knocking on their door. Come. That is the time they read. And so, when you don't study, you don't attend lecture, there is every possibility there will be failure. And in order to avoid this failure, you are going to, this desperation comes to go and look for that kind of help, that type of help.
Okay, Susan, when you said discipline, you were so focused on discipline on the parts of the students. What about on the parts of lecturers? Lecturers who see students, and sometimes, like you earlier mentioned, that students kind of expose themselves to this kind of situations. You see some students, especially the female students, who dress indecently. They wear clothes that are either skimpy or exposes some sensitive parts of their bodies. And you wouldn't have to blame the men. Wow, they say men are polygamous in nature.
And they are attracted by what they see.
Exactly, they are attracted to what they see. So, on the parts of discipline, on the parts of the lecturers, do you think discipline is enough for them to say no to these female students who either intentionally or unintentionally dress to kill, dress to seduce these lecturers? Victory, what do you have to say?
Okay, when we talk about discipline, discipline, like I said, everything about sex for grade is a two-way something. It's a two-way factor. And when we narrow it down to discipline, both the students and the lecturer need to be disciplined.
Okay.
Now, I have a clique when I was in school. We are 7 in number, 2 male and 5 females. Now, the fact is, we read.
Okay.
At the beginning of the semester, we share the entire topics to everyone.
Okay.
So every week, this is what you teach. That means I have a topic I'm teaching, you have a topic you're teaching. And during exam, before exam, we'll do our normal revision, and everybody have to go through every of the topics he or she were meant to teach the whole of that semester. And when you enter the exam hall, you see that it is easy for you to, out of the 5 or 6 questions, definitely you will know 4.
That's true.
Now, that is one, the aspect of the student being disciplined, discharging his or her duty as a student. Now, on the aspect of the lecturer, where I don't know if you have experienced a situation where you went into the exam hall and you looked at the 6 or the 7 questions that was set, and the lecturer did not teach any.
Yeah, I've been in that situation before.
Fine. When you get into such situation, definitely there is nothing you will do at that point and pass the exam. Now, with a student that already have the mindset of, I will not fail any course in this school. At the end of that exam, an option is being placed. Come and meet me, so please. And it's better than that. Come and give me this thing now. You are not a virgin. This is what you give to your boyfriend. Sorry. It's what you give to your boyfriend, and at the end, you will not get anything in exchange. Remember, this is trade.
By butter?
Yes, trade.
Trade by
now,
butter.
fine. In this aspect, you are giving what you give on a random to your boyfriend freely. And now, you are giving it in exchange for something, for grade. And you see that most girls, if they are not disciplined enough, they will fall prey of it. So when we talk about discipline, it is both on the aspect of the lecturers discharging their duties, ensuring that I will teach these children well, and I will state what I taught, and ensure that even if a situation comes where the students have to pay something, whether in kind or in cash, I will turn it down. There's this woman that taught us measurements when I was in school. There is nothing you will do, and that woman will collect 1 naira from you.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sure.
She will tell you, how much do you have that you can give me? Now, when you see that such a lecturer is naturally disciplined, that she doesn't want your money, she don't need your money. So the issue of discipline, it is a two-way something. The student needs to be disciplined and know why they're in school. The lecturer also needs to be disciplined, but more of the discipline should go to the lecturer.
Okay. Based on what you're saying about discipline on the part of lecturers, I read about a story. I read a story about a lecturer who, disciplined lecturer, discharges his duties as a lecturer effectively. However, there are students, some of us, they call us daughters of Eve. There are some daughters of Eve who felt like they didn't want to study. All they want to do is to exchange their body for grades. Now, this lady goes to meet the lecturer. Based on the lecturer's testimony, she came into his office. Immediately she came into the office, she stripped herself naked.
Oh.
The lecturer couldn't even, he said that it took the grace of God, his ancestors, the spirit and prayers of his wife to keep him from falling victim to the student. All he had to do was to dash out of of the
his
office and went to the security officers around there to tell them of what was happening in his office. Now, this is a disciplined lecturer. There are also lecturers who have been accused wrongly.
Yes.
You know, and even some go to the extent of losing their jobs because of the getting sexually harassed by these students. With the boldness, the temerity of those students to accuse such lecturers for something they don't do or something they didn't do. What do you think these lecturers should do in this situation?
Okay, am I to answer?
Yeah.
Okay, and now let me link this with the very first statement or the very point she made, where the students should speak up. As I was actually waiting for a right time to say this. Now, when we talk about speaking up,
okay.
Now you get to understand that, like I said earlier, you are asked to speak up, but you don't know where and how to speak up. Now you get to understand that, like I said earlier, that some of these laws are being punctured. Now, when the school management makes such laws, it is always important that they make provision for a call line. A call line or a notice board where students can make some reports anonymously. Because most times when they tend to disclose their identity, it becomes a problem on that side. That simply means even the aspect of the lecturers, the school management should also make provision and then put in check that they find that most lecturers are being
sexually harassed.
Most lecturers are being harassed. And then if the management puts in check these two factors, but most times they only consider the students, especially the female students, leaving the male students and the lecturers. Now, if the management can put in check both the fact that there are possibilities of lecturers being harassed. I've had a story where TP students impregnated their sympathy students.
It's embarrassing.
Where students is now impregnating their teachers. You understand that if there's no provision for the lecturers or the teachers to speak up and channel it well, and when they speak up, it should be properly followed. Because that when they speak, it will be dashed out, it will be overlooked. And when a lecturer complains 1, 2, and nothing is being done about it, they will say if you cannot beat them, you join them.
That's true.
And so a call line or a notice box should always be made available, where both the lecturers and students
can air their opinions anonymously.
Yes, anonymously.
I talked about keeping an evidence of what is happening. As a lecturer, you should also keep a record of what is happening. You can record your conversation with a student. Like the instance you gave, a female student stripping herself completely naked in front. You can quickly pick your phone, snap. It is an evidence. You can even video. In fact, before she will start looking for her clothes to put on again, you've made a good video, which is an evidence you can take to the school. And now the school authority has a very big role to play. Although corruption is everywhere, that they tend to overlook most reports, but there should be an evidence. If there is an evidence, there is a very big possibility, a great possibility that your problem, your audio will be dealt with.
Okay. Victor, you mentioned earlier on that from what people say, that the quality of education in Nigeria, based on production of lecturers or teachers to teach the students, that they are educated illiterates, kind of. This situation now has arose in our educational system. How does this situation impact the quality of education in Nigeria? Because students no longer read because they always have a way or means of getting the same grades that students kill themselves studying for, So how does this affect the quality of education in Nigeria? Okay,
I want to talk about how the menace in the education system affects education in Nigeria. You get to understand that this is the reason most nations or most countries bring out job alerts and they specify excluding Nigerians. Because the fact that someone will go to school and graduates with a high score. I have somebody in my department who graduated with 4.4.
That's huge.
And truth be told, she's not meant to graduate with anything up to 2.3. Truth be told.
Oh my God.
Now, when you get to understand that both the lecturers, the students, the management, if all of them can do their job well, the students teaching well, the students reading, lecturers teaching well, and then the management making laws or putting in check the factors that will depict this educational standard, you get to understand that the nation will move forward. Funny enough, where I went to serve in Jigawa State.
Okay.
Yes, I served in Jigawa State, and it is very funny that even the principals in my community cannot make a good sentence in English, but they are principals. Now at that point, where the principal cannot speak well, teachers cannot speak well. Definitely, you know what will happen to the students. Now, when we allow all these things to keep happening, Nigeria as a country will definitely keep going down, not just the educational system. Because once the education is gotten right, the economy will fall in place and every other aspect of it will move well.
So the whole sectors are kind of interwoven,
Yes, all of them are. It's just like a system where all of them are intertwined. Yes.
Okay. Like you said earlier on, like I said earlier on, there are existing laws to put this in check. But to an extent, it's as if these laws are ineffective. So what, Susan, I want to come to you. What stringent conditions do you suggest as an end to this show of shame? What stringent measures can be implied to make sure that this situation, this issue is eradicated?
Well, you can't give what you don't have. If, as an authority, a superior over someone, you are faulty in such area, it will be very difficult for you to correct the other person or to confront them. I think there should be a check within the authorities. If the VC of a school is free of these things, they should be able to confront these lecturers who are involved, these students who are involved. But you know, if I steal and I see you stealing, I can't ask you to stop because I do it.
That's true.
If I venture tell you to stop, you will point at me.
I say, aren't you doing the same thing?
The same thing. So I think the authorities should check themselves, work on themselves first, so that they'll be able to deliver. Like you were talking about lecturers who are illiterates, literates. You know, if I'm teaching a child and I'm meant to teach the child English, and I'm teaching the child English Igbo or English Igbo, the child will learn the same thing I'm teaching him.
That's true.
There is no discretion. The child won't speak English completely. In fact, it is exactly what I deliver to the child that he will give back to me. So we can't offer what we don't have. The authorities should check themselves first and then work on themselves before they are able to look at the school environment and make changes.
Victory, what's your own opinion on this?
Okay. In respect to that, there is what we call, because I did education in school, there's what we call inspection and supervision.
Okay.
Now, this is where the government, the management comes in. Now, there is need for constant supervision and inspection. Now, when you see that that this department or this set of persons are not being supervised or inspected, definitely you are telling them to do whatever they want. When I was going at the state, during the regime of Senator Ojis Okalo, there's what he always do. He drive around Umahia, around the state, around 8 o'clock after 8. And if he meets a student on the road by that time, he will be the one to ken the student. Or he moves around with his cane.
Wow.
Now, if he peradventure drives into your school and there's no teacher in your class, the teacher will answer query. Now, during that period, it takes something that both the students and the teachers, they were up and doing. Because of the students are afraid of being flogged by the governor. You cannot run because of the escorts there. You can't run, and the teachers are also afraid of being queried by the governor.
They should even be flogged.
So you got to know that proper inspection and supervision, starting from the government down to the curriculum planners and implementers, they should make provision for constant supervision and inspection. Now, it is not a crime if the government makes provision for termly or semester questionnaire, where they share questionnaire across the students to answer anonymously. In my secondary school, my director used to do it. They will share questionnaire to the students. Who is your best lecturer? Why? Who is your worst lecturer? Yeah. Why?
I had
now,
such opportunities.
Yes. Now, when the director gather all this, it will enable him know the next action to take. That's why you see that at the beginning of a term, most times you see that most teachers have been dropped.
Yes, true.
Because of their attitude during the term. Now, if I am a new teacher and I get to understand that why the other person was fired because he was not teaching well, definitely, for me not to lose the job, I'll have to sit up. That's what means proper inspection and supervision should be put in place.
Okay. We've been talking about sex for grades, and how students who are not willing to study, students who are lazy, indulge in this act. What advice do you have for students who are probably tired of studying because they don't see a reason why they will be studying, and people who don't study get better grades than they that study? Some of them will decide to engage in this act. What advice do you have for them with regards to this?
Okay, for students who are tired, because the ones who don't study have higher grades than them, I will advise you, don't get tired. Don't be weary. Hard work pays. It really does. You see, for someone who is jumping the fence to get what you are working gradually to attain, it will get to a place. It will certainly get to a place. There will be no road for escape. There will be no route for that person to escape. But you who is gradually working will walk past that person. So hard work pays. Don't get tired. Keep studying. Don't say because they are paying lecturers in kind, you also want to go and pay in kind. You are tired of reading. No. Keep reading, keep studying, keep attending lectures. You will see that one day, certainly, your work will pay you.
Okay, what's your own opinion? What's your own advice?
Okay. When I was in school, I got to that point. Yeah, I
got tired.
You almost jumped the fence.
I got tired of the fact that I read. I know I write well. But then, somebody somewhere who doesn't even come for lectures, who by virtue of whatever he or she is doing,
fashion and clothing,
will now be getting A while I'm getting B.
And we know them.
And definitely, we know them. At the point, I was like, it's not better. I
just relax.
But then I had to encourage myself. Yes, because I remembered my work results.
Okay.
My work results, almost everybody in my school, we are having Pirate A, Pirate B. I had Pirate C. Just with Igbo as B3. But then I thought of it that at any point, I can boldly present these results and defend the results.
Yeah.
So it gave me an encouragement that keep doing what you're doing. A day of reckoning might come.
It's coming.
Yes.
Where I will need to defend the certificate I have. And if I can't defend it, definitely it's of no use having a certificate.
Yes,
that's true.
So it was just that my work result that gave me the courage to continue.
Okay.
So to everyone outside there, just don't give up. You just keep pushing, because it's a day of reckoning.
Keep pushing, so you don't end up giving cash and kind and you'll not be able to defend your first class certificate. That's it for today, dear viewers. We'll be talking about sex for grades in Nigerian universities. So far, we've talked about the reasons for students to engage in sex for grades in the Nigerian universities. We talked about moral decadence, we talked about laziness, we talked about lack of discipline, both on the part of the students and the lecturers. We talked about the importance of getting stringent measures if by the school management, the students, and the government at large. I want to specially thank Susan Orore. This lady has been intimidating me with her beauty, but I refuse to be intimidated. Thank you so much, Susan, for being here with us today. I want to say thank you to Nadi Victory. Nadi Victory, it's been a pleasure having you here with us today. Thank you for being here. And to you, my dear viewers, I want to say a huge thank you for sticking with us up to this moment. This is Youth Speak on Universal Heritage Television, Niger. I am your host, Ibuna Munachi. Until another time, I'm saying bye-bye and thank you for staying with us.
Youth Speak is a program on Universal Heritage Television Niger, where all matters concerning the youths are discussed and analyzed by the youths, especially in a society where they feel abandoned and not fairly represented, yet so much is expected from them. Join us every Friday as we present to you Youth Speak on our YouTube channel at Universal Heritage Television Niger. Youth Speak, a voice for the youth.